it's crazy because you didn't make the team and you didn't give up. And I think a lot of what we do in life is just about hanging around long enough and not giving up until you see success. And I mean, personally, I can really appreciate that. And you touched on something that happened to me growing up, was just that I was kind of like the oddball out because all my friends was hooping or playing football, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tennis practice. So of course I wanted to hoop, and I like basketball and football, but I think it was about understanding that maybe I was meant to do something different. You know what I mean? And being okay with that. And so my whole goal is to make this brand more reflective of, or tennis more reflective of what the US looks like. And that's bringing in more blacks, male and female, to the sport, because I think it's a lifelong sport that you can play. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is, like, as you were coming up, you mentioned a couple people, but who was someone who really inspired you to continue to grow within tennis?
Well, um, growing up, one thing about me, I didn't like to read a lot of different books. But the one thing about me was I read about sports. And so one person was Arthur Ashe. I learned about him. And then me and Arthur Ashe were both in the same fraternity. So it was just like, me learning about him and learning how, he pretty much made it through playing tennis and just life in general. And then from the other mentor would be Arville Turner, who I mentioned, my past coach. He's around 70 years old, still coaching kids now, and he's still a big impact within the community. And one thing was, just as you said, I didn't have anyone to play with, so it was just like, well, I kind of ran from it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where you want to do it, but society doesn't do it. So I didn't really want to play, but I wanted to play, if you understand.
Yeah.
But back to your question, my mentor would have been Arville Turner, and I didn't really have many others. I always tried to find mentors, but as far as growing up, that was about it. Tried to mirror my game around others. But as far as mentors, I didn't have many because I didn't know a lot of people who played tennis.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And I think one of the things growing up for me was like, I don't want to be the guy who, everybody makes fun of because I'm going on a different path like tennis and swimming or something like that. But the one thing that I realized that kind of kept me in tennis outside of, my parents like, yo, listen, you have something special here, was, I realized that if I got good enough, like, people rock with champions. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what you do, if you're good at your craft, like, people are always going to respect that, even if you're a kid. And so I went from being just like some kid who played tennis to like, hey, you leave Chris alone. He's killing on the tennis court. You know what I mean? And I think once I realized that, it's just what tennis chased me and I chased after it. And as I think about that, a good segue, I know you're coaching you've coached different levels, players, all that stuff. And for you, I was curious to know, like, what motivates you as a Black coach to keep going in the sport? And what does that mean to you to be a Black coach? I guess it's a two-part question.
well, that's one of the reasons why I'd say I think I am still a coach now.
Yeah.
Because I've gone through trials and tribulations as a Black coach. And I've had a lot of different speed bumps along the way. And I've been blessed enough to be in the positions and meet certain people to help me to persevere and, just help me push through. A good friend of mine, I met Jeff Zinn at Penn State. He's one of my friends / mentors now. But one of the things I would say would be, came from my experiences in life. I've been in a lot of car accidents and been blessed enough not to be injured in all of them, really.
Yeah.
So I used to wonder, why are you saving me, Lord? And piggyback from what you used to say, as far as tennis goes, I used to run from tennis. I wanted to be on the basketball team with all my friends, play ball, didn't really tell people about tennis until I got to college, and I kind of owned it then. And once I owned it, then everybody else went back behind me and supported me. And now still to this day, I have people like, man, I'm gonna get my kids into tennis because of you. And you know, we want you to coach them. And it's just like, it's amazing because once you become yourself, and that's the one thing about it, you got to be yourself and own your craft. And God gave you the talent to use. And that's one of the things I want to help others. That's one of the reasons why I am still a coach. And I am still coaching and being a Black coach and trying to, you know, just give something that, you know, like for instance, I didn't have. And once I realized that I can do this, other people are the same way. When you see the look, when you coaching people and they're learning, like, wow, this is not bad. I didn't think I could do this, but I can do this. Right. So it's the joy that you put on, that you see on other people's face, that you know, right there with them, and you're like, you're having fun right with them.
Yeah, so that's real. That's real, because one of the things I always, like, I spent time in corporate, and, you know, as I got older, I was like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to corporate. I'm supposed to leave tennis alone. And tennis kept chasing after me. And one of the things I realized is that everybody in life, you know, through God has a pathway, right? Some people, you know, are supposed to be CEOs. Some people are supposed to own their businesses, right? But if tennis is your pathway, and that's the gift that God gave you, you know, you got to operate in that gift. And I realized that what makes me most happy is when I'm doing things in tennis, when I'm teaching others the game of tennis, when I'm interviewing coaches and players. Like, that's my gift. So why not embrace the gift and build the gift? Because, you know, there'll be more overflow, if you will say, that will come when you operate and do what you're supposed to do. And that's what I hear from you too.
Oh, yes. It's a joy. And that's why I keep going. I mean, sometimes I'm tired. I may look tired now, but you know, it's just someone calls me, Coach, can we do this weekend at 1? I'm like, man, yeah, I have 4 lessons before you, but I'll get it in, and I'll you know, just, you know, I feel like I'm giving them a service, and I want to help them to, you know, grow. And that's the thing about tennis. It's a life sport. It's not only, if you're going to play this for just till high school and then you keep going, but you can play this until 80 years old. Yeah. And it's the one sport that, other than golf, that you can continue to play and enjoy and just enjoy life.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. Because I mean, at least in Chicago, and that's where I live, you see people teaching the game, but you see them doing it the wrong way, or what I would consider to be the wrong way. And I feel like, you know, your experience in tennis is only as good as your coach. If your coach wants to be there, he's excited to teach you, then it's easier for a student at any level to, like, want to do better, because they realize that, you know, the coach cares. But it's the opposite when a coach doesn't care and they're just like, all about dollars and cents. I do what I do, of course, for, you know, to make a living, but at the end of the day, it's more about how can I impact someone's life. And I know by doing that and staying true to that, again, that overflow will continue to come. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. And on that note, you touched on this a little bit, but as you think about some of the setbacks and coaching as a Black male, you know, which you and I both know, it goes without saying, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Do you have any setbacks that really come to mind for you that you were able to overcome?
I would say it's a little different, actually, coaching. Well, I'm more so seeing a lot. I'm sorry, I start over with. As far as a setback, I won't say I've had many setbacks, but I've seen some areas where I've had to work harder than others, and or try to prove myself, I guess. I was blessed to get the position as head coach at University of Arkansas Pine Bluff with not much, I would say, collegiate coaching experience. So hadn't been an assistant other than my 5th year. And then after that, branching out coaching. So I kind of learned, the business of being a head coach through others helping me and just on my own, trial by error. But not being able to have all resources within, HBCU. Most of us don't have resources, that we need. And then also learning that it's an ongoing struggle as far as for all colleges and universities because of tennis and, Title IX, you're always one to figure out which sport to hold and which not to keep. For instance, I went through at one point in time at UAPB, which now we don't have both sports has been suspended, which that's why part of the reason why I moved on. And I mean, a major setback will be, for instance, now I'm really trying to figure out a next way of coaching for me. Is it going to be college coaching or reaching youth in JTL, or just working with them trying to help youth get to college, or working high school, middle school, or just in what next avenue? I ended up moving here to Houston, Texas with my wife. And I'm working with a lot of juniors and kids now. I actually teach at Chancellor's Family Center. It's King Daddy Tennis, King Daddy Sports. It's a nice program here. A lot of kids going on to college playing tennis as well. So not many setbacks, but more so seeing the different struggles that I would have as a Black coach. Yeah. Also having to prove yourself more, I think.
100%. Yeah, no, I think there's always, my dad always said something to the effect of, you're constantly wearing your resume on your shoulder, because when you step into the room and you're Black and you're a Black male, people, it's great because people are going to listen and hear what you have to say, but they're also going to watch you a little closer than some of their counterparts. So my dad always wakes up and tells me, every day is an interview, because someone is judging you a little differently than they're going to judge other people. And to your point of college athletics, I mean, yeah, that whole landscape, whether it's tennis or non-revenue sports versus revenue sports, like it's scary to think of what college sports will look like in 3 to 5 years. I think you're going to see a lot fewer programs, fewer sports, because the model of college sports is you get revenue from ticket sales and TV deals and things like that. But when ticket sales goes away, when TV deals aren't as prominent, when sponsors are finding different ways to maximize their dollars, like what does that mean for your program at the university? So, I think it's, as you mentioned, I think that's a challenge. Tennis is going to be is a challenge, and it's going to continue to be a challenge to keep it around. And the thing that frustrates me is, like, there are programs that cut tennis, or there are schools that cut tennis. However, tennis is a very small piece of the equation. So I always am like, you're cutting a program that makes up 1% of the athletic budget. It just, like, what does that do? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't save anything. It just cuts off scholarships. But yeah, that's my short rant on that subject.
But one thing I learned as far as being a head coach, and I went on to get my master's in sports administration, and because I was, as far as trying to move forward in life. But one thing I learned was a lot of people don't understand tennis. So that may be a reason why, you get rid of it. But if you can't understand it, it's no reason to keep it. And a lot of people don't understand the sport. And, for instance, you keep soccer, you may keep women's soccer or something like that. But if you understand the sport better and you understand how much it helps and it's life sport, then it will give you a more value of the sport.
Yeah.
But
And
I feel,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say you're 100% right, because if you go to most athletic programs, they know what tennis is, but they don't know anything about it. They probably don't even know how college coaching or college scoring works, right? And I mean,
Mhm.
I think that's I would be curious to see how many ADs actually could tell you how college tennis works, because they probably
Right.
don't know. And to your point, that makes it an easy decision to get rid. Well, it's tennis, get rid of it. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't need it. But in retrospect, if they understood the value proposition of tennis long term, I think it could be a totally different outcome.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's good insight. That's good insight. I got one more finisher question for you. Um, what advice would you give to other Black coaches, Black players who are either A, looking to get into the sport or looking to coach at a high level? What advice would you give to them?
I would say to all tennis players and all coaches, never give up, and work hard and be ready for your opportunity when the opportunity comes.
Yeah, that's real.
Because um, the statement, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. If you're ready, I mean, the opportunity is there. For instance, you're good at what you do, there's gonna be an opportunity one day. But if you're not ready for your opportunity, then you're gonna get passed over. I mean, you may get it, but that's what I would say.
Yeah. No, I live by that. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. It's kind of like if you want to be a college coach or you want to be a pro coach, staying in shape, doing the little things because you know your call is going to come one day, and you
Mhm.
have that faith is absolutely correct. But if you're not ready, you're going to miss the opportunity, like you said. So, yeah, I
I
could.
mean, and with this sport, it's something that we always have to learn. It's an ongoing learning process for learning the game as a player and learning the game as a coach. You have to learn more as a coach when your player is getting progressing. You're teaching more and more, and they're learning more and more. So it's an ongoing process.
For
I
sure.
feel.
Yeah, no, because again, I mean, I think the game is changing. It's definitely
Yes.
evolving. Even from, I mean, I played college tennis from '04 to '08, and I mean, just the things like the workouts and the ball drills and the things we're doing on the court and off the court then are totally different than what they're doing now, right? Because the game's
Right.
evolving, things are changing. So as a coach, you have to evolve with the game. And I think you'll see some old school coaches who still do it the same way, but I think
Mm-hmm.
at some point that result will ultimately change. So yeah.
Yes. Because
Um,
I mean, I know you didn't start off with green balls.
no, that's another thing, right? And 100% no. I started off playing with real tennis balls, so I think that's
Right.
again, another
Likewise.
segment of that is teaching the game the right way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The game it should be learned because kids are going to get better quicker. They're going to learn
Mm-hmm.
faster and not just kind of like coming up with it off the top of your head. Even though we've all gotten good at doing that, is really having a plan to teach.
Right. Right. And that's what I learned as a college coach to play. Have to.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Um, well, honestly, again, I appreciate your insight and your time, and just learning a little bit about your background, what you're doing in the coaching space. Um, I know that you're going to not only be successful, you're going to continue to be successful. So I look forward to seeing how you progress and the pathways you take, and continue to follow you on social and see where you end up.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And good luck tossing spin for the rest of the year and all the other good things to come.